that battle at center going with those three guys this spring so far?
It's going. Certainly, guys are battling their butts off trying to, man down that spot. And we're evaluating every single rep, walk through all the way to team reps. So, but all the guys are locked in, and they know what the expectation is. They know what the job is. They know what the procedure is. So, the best guy will win it.
You guys are in a bit of a unique situation with losing three main guys. How much does it help these guys to have that continuity with you coaches and have the continuity of the routine from last spring?
It means everything. Just the continuity in general in any really football team for that matter, but especially along the offensive line is huge. Certainly those guys that that graduated out were good players, good leaders. But now, we kind of passed the baton, and, in terms of leadership, and the new guys know what the expectation is. The new leaders know that they need to emerge and step up and be vocal leaders as well as, on the field, do it leaders as well. So, so we're excited about grooming, the next set of leaders up front, and the guys that are in that role, they're doing a pretty good job thus far.
Yeah, Brendan said he, Matt, and both really stepped into that leadership role. Have you noticed them kind of taking a different attitude this spring?
Yeah, they did it all the way in the winter conditioning, and they're continuing on now. Certainly days like today will test it, and those guys need to kind of learn how to, when the going gets rough, step up and make sure that their presence is known.
Why will today test it?
There were some instances in practice where things weren't going so well, just like in a normal practice, and especially in a normal game. Where as coaches, we create certain situations where there's adversity in practice, and we're expecting those guys to step up and say, hey, all right, we're going to beat this, and we're going to have the leadership that we need to get everybody else rallied around us to overcome the adversity.
You talked last week about how much you liked Trent Hickson's approach. Technically, what does he do well technically and sort of with his technique?
Well, he technically, he's getting better at all the things, set lines and his run blocking. He's a guy that mindset-wise is going to try to whoop the guy across the way from him. He's a better run blocker right now than a pass blocker, but it's that putting his hat on guys and tight strikes and bringing his feet with him. Those are things that he has that kind of natural that we noticed early on with him. Now it's grooming him as a pass protector. And, today you probably saw him on the left side. He's always been on right last week, so a little bit of a change in technique and sides, and obviously stance and start and pushing off which leg, but he'll be able to acclimate to that side, and he'll be fine.
How much can approach help while you're on probably a steep learning curve technique-wise? I mean, can it carry you?
How much
until you sort of figure out the technique?
How much what?
Can the approach that he has carry him while he figures out?
His approach is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays with his hair on fire. If you can get a guy that plays with their hair on fire, there's always going to be technique things that you're working on, always. The hardest thing to coach is effort. And really, it's like speed. You can't coach speed. You can't make a guy a 4.2 guy that's a 4.9 guy. I can't make a guy play with a way more effort than he normally plays with. Now I can stay on his ass about being consistent and being his technique needs to be consistent and all that stuff. But generally speaking, if you can get a guy that plays with a high effort and high intensity, then you're half of the way there.
I agree. Brendan was talking about last year. You guys kind of stopped, or at least the players stopped, kind of paying attention to those +2s that you guys track. Was that the case? And I guess what did you see in that regard from your line last year?
What do you mean, like stop paying attention?
He said they stopped kind of tracking him, like who was leading in that race and what that was like.
Yeah, when we first implemented that was at UCF, and it was an effort deal. We don't have to coach very much effort here, and that was a hard time coaching effort and trying to attract +2s because guys, they just weren't putting out the effort. That was what made them who they were, and they had the lack of production for that. Here, it's more, okay, effort, intensity, you're not coaching a whole bunch of technique. Well, why didn't you finish the block? Well, we got to continue to work on your technique. We got to continue to work on your detailed focus on the signal or whatever it may be. I tell the guys I don't want to track plus twos because to me that's an effort deal. I'll track plus twos for a technique, but then I'm more looking at the technique and trying to coach better technique rather than trying to tell you guys, hey, push the guy 2 yards. Now certainly we're still going to track them, but our mindset is different as we track them. More technique assessment than effort assessment.
Who were the leaders in that last year? Do you recall? Most plus twos.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I know who they are, but I'm not going to tell you.
Why not?
Because that can stay in house.
Okay.
Hey, Hymus, he talked about you've challenged him to become more of a leader. I mean, how do you want him to be more vocal? And I mean, how important is that for a veteran like him to be kind of a more vocal guy this year? it's important. We need as many leaders as we can get. You know, there's going to be adversity this year, and if it's the same guy, you know, and I'm afraid to say, you know, we had good leaders last year, but we didn't have very many. So as many leaders as we can get up front and in every position of the team, the better. Now, leadership has its different roles. You know, now Jaime is not as vocal a guy as Matt Farniak. Bo Wilson is not as vocal a guy as Matt Farniak or Jaime. But all of those guys have some sort of a leadership quality that we're looking to extract from them that they can affect the man to the right and to the left of him. And certainly Jaime, he's been more vocal, and we're going to ask him to be more vocal. But more so than being vocal, we got to be doers. You know, and there's a standard. There's a, hey, set the standard and then hold each other accountable. Hold the man to the right and to the left of you accountable. Well, right now, in some of those cases, we need to just work on the first standard. And he's doing a good job with that. And now, you know, the hold the man to the right of you accountable, that's the thing that we're really trying to hammer down as well with him.
And with such a small group of seniors, I mean, there's really only one or two seniors that have played much football in your offense overall. Do you have to tell these younger guys, hey, it's okay as a sophomore or junior to kind of take more ownership, because we don't really have a lot of seniors on this team right now?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, look at, you got a true sophomore quarterback. I mean, that guy's still learning, even in the role that he's in. You know, and I'm not going to go and talk about any other position, but a good example, you know, there's a lot of guys that, I mean, we don't have a senior laden offense. So we're going to have to ask guys that are underclassmen and some slightly upperclassmen. I call them slightly upperclassmen. I call juniors. You know, hey, you got to take a leadership role, and you got to do it as if you are a fifth-year senior. So good for them, good growth opportunity for them. But more so than anything, it's a great growth opportunity for the team.